Small pullback here on Bitcoin so far, and we have been dipping right into this beautiful zone of support here at $71,000. I think that we're still primed to smash through the all-time high and get substantially higher. We're going to be talking about where exactly Bitcoin could be topping out in this video for a first leg and what the potential downside looks like. But obviously you can't really look at any of that without first considering traditional finance. So we're going to start over there, and the good news is that we're getting more of nothing here on the S&P 500, right? I mean, the fact that the S&P 500 is doing nothing while it's sitting at an all-time high is a really strong sign that this market, this index, cannot get pushed down, right? It's at an all-time high. Yes, it's not getting pushed higher, but there are no sellers here. It's not getting pushed lower as well. And I think that's coming at a really interesting time because the dollar has also dipped down a little bit. So we're really going to have to see if this level holds. It's been an interesting level since we got here, and we knew it would be an important level. But if the dollar does end up dropping from here, I think that's really going to open up the skies for Bitcoin, for the S&P 500 and so on to rip higher. And that's something I want to dive in a little bit more with you in this video. So we're going to get to the dollar as well later on in this video. Now, if you're excited for this, do me a favor and smash up the likes as you are coming into this video here. Obviously, check out the description where you're going to get some huge bonuses, tons of free cash in your account when you start trading using these links to these best exchanges in the game here. So check it out if you're not in a restricted region. But if we bring it back to Bitcoin here, since basically touching that all-time high, and we got so close to it, we have seen a very small pullback. Now, if we look at this on the hourly time frame, this is such a beautiful controlled pullback, and you can actually see, depending on which exchange you're looking at, the volume as well, where we're seeing big moves in volume right as we're breaking through these resistance levels, but comparatively much lower volume now since we started to consolidate, which is really good news in my opinion, ladies and gents. We'll probably see this a bit clearer. Look at this on the 30-minute, where you can see the volume moving average really curving upwards as we're starting to break out. But then as we start to consolidate, look at what happens with that volume. So you guys know I'm not really a big volume guy, but it is there, and it's just proving to us that there's not a whole lot going on in this price range. We're just waiting for some of those last Bitcoins that, there's a lot of people that very rightfully just want to take profits on their Bitcoin right now. Maybe they bought Bitcoin too high and they just want to sell it break even or whatever the case may be. There are a lot of different reasons for why somebody might be selling off right now, but this price action is totally normal, and the really good news is that it's happening right into a really juicy zone of support, because if we look at the zone of support, this is the level that Bitcoin was consistently getting rejected at throughout the course of 2024, if we even managed to get up this high. But the good news is that we have a ton of support here now, and we've actually been able to get above it. We only got above this zone once in Bitcoin's price history, and that was when we set the all-time high. This occasion here didn't last particularly long. And so the fact that we're now kind of coming back down to capture this as support, I think tells the bulls a lot. And it tells the bulls, and it also tells anybody else that just didn't get a chance to get into this market when they perhaps wanted to, because a lot of people are bullish. A lot of people have, actually really wanted to get into this market, but they've just never gotten the entry that they were looking for. Back, a couple of weeks ago, they were looking for 58, and now that we're at, 71, they're looking for 64 or 68 or whatever. So a lot of these people aren't getting their chances to buy Bitcoin. And so what happens at these support levels is that if the bulls can prove that they're going to defend these levels and that they're not going to let Bitcoin drop lower, you're going to start to trigger FOMO really quickly. And that's what happens at these all-time highs. Before we talk a little bit more about what's been going on and what might go on right now in the present day, I want to cast your minds back to 2020, because you can't look at this chart without first considering the importance of what happened here, which is to say the same damn thing happened here. And this is something that we've been speaking about a lot. Those of you that are subscribed to this channel, you're going to be very familiar with these types of ideas that we're about to start discussing here. So definitely make sure you are subscribed if you haven't done so already. But if we take a look at what happened back here in 2020, we got that initial sell-off right as we started to approach this resistance zone. And this is super typical normal price action here, where every time you kind of peak, you do get sent back down. Again, bam, sent back down. And you're getting pretty aggressive sell-offs here, right? I mean, within 2 days of price action, you erase, what took like, a week or 10 days, so you're getting pretty deep corrections at the all-time high, but that didn't stop Bitcoin from breaking out. In fact, I would argue that it's what allowed Bitcoin to break out. These pullbacks right here, like the one that we're in right now, this is what allows Bitcoin to break out, because you're exhausting supply. And if these levels get defended and you start punching in higher lows like Bitcoin did here, then you're going to get all of that excitement just sending this market higher. And this is exactly the same situation that I think Bitcoin is in right now, which is why I'm spending this time talking about it. And if we come back to the present day chart and take a look at what that might actually look like, well, this is a good enough candidate of support as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there are really good support levels beneath, and we're going to look at that in just a second here. But this is a really good level as it is, because it's the level that Bitcoin kind of experienced before as support. But if we look at this, with some kind of aggressive indicators here, on the hourly, we've got a ton of EMA support right here at this exact price range between $71,000 and $72,000, which is absolutely fantastic. On the 4-hour Ichimoku cloud, we've got support that's starting to stretch upwards as well. 1-hour Ichimoku cloud already up here as well. So, it just kind of depends on your time frame, for what you're going to be seeing. But for the most part, you're starting to see support building up in the same zones or getting up to the same zones quickly. Here's the 4-hour starting to catch up with that $71,000 zone of support for Bitcoin here. Probably going to be there tomorrow, if not the day after at the very, very most, assuming, of course, that we hold these price levels. And then here on the daily, that same EMA ribbon now very confidently covering the $67,000 price range as well. So even if you're on a slightly larger time frame, and you're not really looking at things so up close like 71K, this is a really good zone of support for Bitcoin. Currently, it's Bitcoin's worst case scenario, as I've been hypothesizing on this channel. And I don't even think Bitcoin's going to go down there, but I think that if Bitcoin does go down there, it's going to be a really, really nice bullish opportunity. It's actually one of the most obvious easy buys that I see in this market as well. And all of that's really interesting because you get free cash when you start trading using these links down below, which is so useful as a trader, because what we're aiming to achieve as traders is increase our back. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't even really internalize as a trader, but once you hear this, it's going to be stuck with you. So make sure you write this down. Is that when you're in the property market, when you're buying a house, you're doing that to get your 8% asset appreciation per year. And let's say you bought a house for $100,000. And you're looking for your 8%, you're going to get $8,000 in your pocket. But that's happening inside of 1 year, and it's not even that much money, and then it's probably getting taxed as well. So it's just not that much money that you're left with, right? At the end of the year, $8,000, right? But if you take that same 8% and you apply that 8% to, I don't know, let's say $500,000, all of a sudden now that 8% looks a lot more interesting, because now you're not looking at 10K anymore. I'm sorry, 8K anymore. You're looking at 40K now, and 40K profit, in a year, even with a little bit of tax, that's a low-end salary that you're putting in your pocket for free, right? So it gets the same 8% becomes a lot more interesting if you have more money to trade with. And that's what trading is all about, right? I think a lot of people get this completely wrong, and that's why they're in altcoins and meme coins and NFTs and all the other garbage in the space. But if what you look for instead is just easy, replicatable, sustainable, predictable 5, 10, 20, 30% profit moves, because those are so easy to find in these markets, ladies and gents. They're so easy. I mean, if Bitcoin falls down to this zone of support and then it comes back up to where it is now, that's already a 6-7% move, and that's with no leverage. That's just trading spot. Obviously, I would, I might even, super conservatively, I could go for 3x leverage. It would be so conservative, and all of a sudden this 7% move becomes a 20% profit. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff is way more predictable. It's way more sustainable. It's way more repeatable, right? I can do it much more consistently rather than, hoping that some random shit coin out of fucking 500 gets pumped out of nowhere, just literally, tail between my legs, no influence whatsoever on my future, just hoping something nice happens to me, which I think is a ridiculously stupid approach in these markets. You only hear about it working from the success stories, quite frankly. You'll never have it working for yourself usually. But that's where these bonuses get really interesting, because they provide that shortcut, right? An extra 30K is much more interesting when you realize that 10% profit on that is $3,000 that you get to withdraw. So really, really cool stuff. Bybit's going to be the best in the game. Apex is their decentralized sister exchange, and Blowfin's just a great alternative to all of that with thousands of dollars in bonuses. So check them all out if you're not in a restricted region. If you are allowed to use them, check them all out. Really, really good offers. And like I said, this is going to be one of those obvious kind of longs for me. that I'm actually considering taking here on Bitcoin. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, like I said, but I think it's still great. And I think that, the fact that we're starting to see support line up here, it just makes me feel even more confident that this is going to be a good level to be focusing my attention on for Bitcoin. So I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of what happens around these price levels if Bitcoin does end up falling down there. But for now, we might not even get down that low because of how beautifully this downtrend has been going. I mean, this has been such a slow, stable, controlled downtrend right now that I think all it's going to take is one big kind of instance of buying or just switching off the selling. And then I think this thing could really fly. And the most important thing, in my opinion at this stage, you really got to think, I mean, if you've sat through, 7 months of Bitcoin, I actually think this is a really fucking weak sell-off, to be honest, considering what we've seen. I'll be completely honest with you. And the reason I'm saying that is it's been 230 days now for Bitcoin since it set its all-time high to get back to its all-time. It still hasn't broken it, but it's taken 230 days. And the reason that's a really interesting time frame is that, you've had 230 reasons in that sense to sell all of your Bitcoins. And those reasons would have really intensified on days like this, on situations like this here. And if you still haven't sold your Bitcoins, then you might not want to sell your Bitcoins at all, which is why I certainly don't expect any selling activity to happen in these kind of price bands like 74, 75, 76, 77. I said the exact same thing about this entire price range here, where I said that usually price moves start and end on the same day in this price range. They usually happen very, very quickly, and that's exactly what took place over here. We went up on this occasion just as quickly as we went up on most occasions prior, which is to say basically within 1 hour, basically within 1 day, Bitcoin closes the entire range. And that's because it just moves so quickly during certain price ranges, but it doesn't move that quickly during other price ranges. And if you're able to identify that, which is what we do so well, it's one of the best things that we do on this YouTube channel, if you're able to identify them, that's where the money is. That's where the trading can happen. If you can't identify them, you're just going to be shocked, wondering what the hell happened, how the market can move so quickly. And you're not going to be positioned to make money off it, or worse yet, you're not even going to be positioned to defend yourself from it in case it means that you might lose money. So really, really important stuff. This is why you got to stay subscribed to this YouTube channel, ladies and gents. That's why it's so damn important. But if we do bring it back here again to the chart now, I think the same thing could happen on the upside. I really do. I think that Bitcoin could just as easily, just absolutely gap upwards and do really, really well above its all-time high, because I'm not anticipating any kind of sell orders above this all-time high here. And like I said, I think that this is actually quite weak as far as sell-offs go, because we haven't been up here for 7 months, and it's been such an arduous journey to get here. And yet the best this market can produce is, just low single-digit percentage drop. Look at this, 2.2%. It's nothing. Into a support area, which, I mean, look, it's a good support area, but it's not the strongest, right? The strongest support area on this chart is right here at 67. From a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different indicators and tools point to that, and I believe that to be the case as well. Just my own feeling, not that matters much, but that's how I feel. And so that to me is going to be the more important support level, but yet we can't even get there because we're getting support here at 71, and it's such a shallow pullback. So shallow pullbacks, like I said, could be the name of the game here. That's what I really want you guys to be paying attention to right now. I actually think that right here is an interesting zone to be considering a long for Bitcoin. I just think that the risk can be controlled pretty well. That's the reason it's interesting. If we take a look at, a setup a little bit like this, it allows for it's a somewhat loose stop loss considering what kind of position this is. The first target would obviously just be Bitcoin's all-time high, which is a 1.6 risk to reward, nothing interesting at all. But after that, you can't really pick a target. It's just, just you're shooting in the dark over here. But with, 1.9%, downside here, I mean, that could be a, 5 to 10x leverage trade for me, depending on how much risk I wanted to take. And then, the upside is unlimited. That could be 100% profit without even hitting $80,000. I mean, it could go very, very well. And this level is getting defended so far, so this is something I'm going to kind of watch and see, because I might actually decide to trade something like that as a bit more of an aggressive play. But if we bring it over to Bitcoin's dominance, we have obviously hit 60% yesterday, which is something we were talking about for a very, very long time on this YouTube channel. So huge shout out to those of you that have been staying engaged on this channel. You're going to be so well aware of this analysis, of these predictions that we were making. We were 100% correct. No surprises whatsoever. It's not even worth celebrating it too much, because this was such an obvious... I don't even want to give myself too much credit for it. It was such an obvious, easy prediction for me to make. I still think we're going higher. There are a lot of people that disagree with me. There are a lot of people that are actually using the exact same thing, statistics to suggest that actually, Bitcoin's dominance is now at a level where where it signals a shift in market dynamics, where the altcoin market cap is on the verge of a breakout, and so naturally, we're all in on Bitcoin. The timing couldn't be better. Alt season could be closer than you think. We're starting to get this kind of sentiment here. Look, this guy might be right. I hope he's right. Good for him if he is right. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's that simple. That's the thing. I think Bitcoin's dominance being at a high level, I think that's a prerequisite for altcoins to go up. I think it's required for altcoins to go up. Yes, of course, you need a high Bitcoin dominance, but it's not what sets it off, right? What sets off the altcoin rally is not a high Bitcoin dominance. It's going to be different market factors. Usually those market factors are just a mature phase of a bull market, and I just don't think we're in any sort of mature phase of this bull market. I don't even think the bull market is really fully started yet, to be quite honest with you. And if it has started, I certainly don't think that we're 50% of the way through it. So we're certainly not at any mature stage, and that's why I think that Bitcoin's dominance could get so much higher. This kind of sentiment is just downright fucking dangerous. I think, and I'm not talking about his followers, because as you guys know as well, obviously, the tweets of somebody or the YouTube posts of somebody, they're not going to make anybody responsible for your own stupid decisions if you go and make stupid decisions afterwards. So it's not dangerous in terms of for his followers, because his followers can get fucked if they do stupid stuff, or they can get rewarded if they do great stuff. That's just how the world works. It doesn't work differently here. But for this guy in particular, for his own portfolio, I'm a little bit worried. I just think that it's premature, and being all in is quite it's gambling. I think. I mean, good for him. Hopefully it works, but I just, at the moment, I think we're still far away from it. I think Bitcoin's dominance is not showing any signs of slowing down, and neither is Bitcoin. And clearly, Bitcoin's dominance is shooting up because Bitcoin is going up. And if we expect Bitcoin to keep going up, then naturally Bitcoin's dominance could keep rising as well. I also just don't think that a lot of these Bitcoin charts are even at major support levels right now. Ethereum, for example, is literally just in the middle of a fucking dangerous area right now, where it's got no support whatsoever. And so Ethereum right now has a big drop down that it could be ready to experience down to the 0.3 BTC per token level. And I think that it's super likely for that to happen at this stage, because there's no more support between now and getting down to that level. And a lot of the altcoins that we're seeing look similar to that. There are going to be exceptions, but look at this here with Cardano. Cardano's at its final support right now. So to be fair, if you're bullish on Cardano, and especially against Bitcoin, this is a chart that's probably working in your favor a little bit. But there are going to be tons of examples that look a little bit closer to Ethereum, where actually they're absolutely fucked, and they're just at all-time lows now. Like they're look at this. This is Arbitrum. I mean, it's just fucking destroyed, bro. It's just gone. Can it wake up? Absolutely. These coins can wake up, and if they do wake up, it'll be a big gain, but hasn't happened yet. And, at some point, you just got to consider how long you want to stay on a fucking sinking ship, when you got easier, more predictable ways to make... This is where I live. I live in those, kind of easier, more predictable ways to make money, because I do want to have control over where I get to, as a trader in my destiny. I don't want to, resign my destiny to some fucking, team of devs that just have like cocaine and hooker fueled parties in fucking Miami or whatever, because they got a ton of money from dumb investors, because that's usually how it goes with these fucking degenerate crypto community leaders. They're, that are not usually. There's going to be there's a big spectrum of how people behave with their investor money, but it's no secret that a lot of people just fucking throw it away on a bunch of bullshit, while the holders are still sitting there hoping that their, minus 97% bag can become a minus 80% bag, so that they can recover most of their losses in the last 6 months and then start breaking even. And if I'm hitting a little bit too close to home right there, then maybe that can be a little bit of a wake-up call, just to make sure that healthier strategies are being employed moving forward. I think that's really, really important. But yeah, upside targets, it's very hard to say. 75, 80K are going to be my first two kind of key levels, but I'm more interested in the kind of pullbacks and where Bitcoin could potentially be bottoming out. Like I said, on the note of the dollar, what's really interesting about the dollar from here is that if it does keep on flying, it's going to hit its next resistance zone up here at about 106. But if it doesn't, it's got a long way to drop now, and I think that would just really open up the skies for Bitcoin to skyrocket. It's election season, that election thing is happening in like 6 days now. It's getting kind of crazy, ladies and gents. And so, I think this is a very, very interesting time in the market. We're going to have to just kind of watch and see what happens here. But I'm super, super pumped up for what happens. And I think that still, as far as these charts can possibly go, we're seeing everything that looks as close to perfect as we could ask for. So I'm very, very happy with what I'm seeing indeed. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. You know what to do. If you have, hit up the like, subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. We got a couple really big, exciting videos coming for you soon. So if you are excited for that, make sure, of course, that you've got the bell icon checked. And by the way, we've got a new camera setup right now. So this is a slightly different setup of equipment. It should be more stable. It should be higher quality. And you might, even though he is so hard to see in the dark, you might even be able to see my dog. He's not here right now, but a lot of you guys are very interested in that. So we might be able to get the puppy camera going a little bit. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks nice and clear. And most importantly, it's going to be stable. There have been so many instances of my camera freezing or, just weird blur issues and stuff like that. This is a proper professional studio grade camera now. This is the kind of thing that I wanted to buy since I was a kid and I just couldn't afford it. So this stuff is really cool. But yeah, nice little upgrade to the office. Always kind of adding stuff and improving things along the way. So there you go, ladies and gents. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.